Hello people of the internet! So here is where we left off last time, with my face covered in strange colors, me looking fairly strange. So what we're gonna do now is apply foundation over this. Now, the thing we want to avoid is moving the color correction because that has been strategically placed. We want the color correction to stay where it is. We don't want to drag it all over, so if we take a beauty blender or something and we start doing this, things are gonna move and we don't like that. So how do we combat this? Well, my favorite way is using a stipple brush. So what I'm gonna do is take my Kryolan, what is this? Ultra Foundation in Ivory, which is actually a highlighter, but I am a ghost, so we're using it as a foundation. So we take it, we stipple it to get the product off and onto the part of the brush that is going to be touching our skin, because anywhere else will be a waste. Next, we concentrate it to the areas where we've corrected and to the center of our face. So we start in the middle and we spread outwards so that we have more product on the center and less around the edges so that we can fade it out towards the end and you don't have any harsh lines like those weird jawline things that, you know, when your foundation is a different color to your neck. No. Okay. So we stipple in the center very lightly. Under the eyes, forehead, cheeks. You can go in for more product if you need to. Avoid it because you don't want to put on too much. This is all about saving that foundation because it's expensive. As we can see, things are looking fairly spotty and not all that clear. So we're just gonna keep doing this. We're not gonna buff anything. We're just gonna keep patting the foundation into your skin. Remember to moisturize before you put anything on. I didn't mention that last time. Moisturize or prime. Moisturize or prime. Moisturize or prime. I've been filming with this fan on the whole time. Hopefully the background music will cover it. Whoops. Be patient, this takes quite some time, but dragging will ruin the effect. And finally, we take our concealer brush one more time after we've wiped it down, because we don't want any of these colors showing on the surface. We stipple it into the foundation, and then we stipple it back onto the areas that we want to concentrate it on. So we do see that some of the eye bags are still present, but they've mostly disappeared. If we just put it right over there, in the center, and on all of the blemishes that we just covered with Color Correct. We wipe the excess off of the brush, and then we go in and blend. We pat, we do not drag the brush, because it will move all the product and everything we've worked so hard for will disappear. Now remember, this is how we get maximum coverage using minimum product. So what we actually want is to put a really thin layer and then cover it up if we need to. That's why we start with the least heaviest product and work our way up to the heaviest, which is concealer. This is the Contour Concealer by NYX, and I really love it, even though it's incredibly heavy. So we want to put as little of this on as possible, because it'll change the texture that we've just created on our skin, and it'll look unnatural. So we really want to be careful. We're going to put it, this is also a highlighter, it says Contour Concealer, so that's what it's for. But any concealer can work this way. And what we're going to do is apply it not only to the places we want to hide, that's still visible, but the places that we want to bring forward, the places that we want the light to hit us. So first I'm going to put some on the inner corner of my eye. It's like paint. Outer corner of my eye. Just on the blemishes. Also, the tip of my nose I'd like to bring forward a little bit because I have a very small nose. And my Cupid's bow. Maybe even a little bit here. And now we wipe away the product that was on our concealer brush. And then we once again stipple the product. This is a really tiny amount of product. And finally, we take a powder that is the same undertone as our skin. For people like me who are incredibly pale, or people on the opposite end of the spectrum, it might be very difficult for us to find foundations and concealers that suit us. Especially when we have a unique undertone for people of that skin type. Like for me, generally people have yellow undertones when they're light, but I am very pink. So I need something that is very pink. But as you can see, the foundation that I've applied has more of a yellow undertone, which is why often when people put on foundation, they tend to look more orange than usual because they look at their skin color rather than their skin color and their undertones, and then what they put on their face doesn't look very natural. What I'm attempting to do is make it look like I'm not wearing any makeup at all. So, to get around the fact that makeup that suits my skin isn't widely available, what I do is I pick a color that suits my face, but not my undertones. Or maybe it does suit my undertone, and then I'm just kind of scot-free and don't need to do this. But if I can't find a foundation that suits my undertones and is more yellow than pink, then I'll use very little of the yellow undertone foundation, and I will use a powder that more suits the rest of my skin. And for me, that is the P3 Dermacolor Fixing Powder. It's a little bit beige and it looks a tiny bit pink. I'm gonna take a powder brush, give it in. Always remember to tap off the excess powder. And the brush is broken. You know what? I have very good professional brushes. Why am I not using them? Okay, take two. So, we dip our brush in our powder and we tap away the excess. I like to tap it over the powder pot so that it goes back in and I can use it. Now, this is where a lot of people like to take a cotton pad or a beauty blender or a sponge, dip it into their powder, and then put it all over their face in a thick layer and leave it there. While this is effective for certain kinds of looks, under certain circumstances, such as stage makeup that you don't want to sweat off, that people are not going to see very close, for me, I'm trying to look as natural as possible. I don't want people to know that I'm wearing makeup. So what I'm going to do is keep very little product on the brush and do exactly what I did with my foundation. Starting in the middle, pushing it into the foundation. We're not dragging anything because that's still going to move the makeup and nothing has set yet. We're setting it now. Go in for more product if you need to, but avoid doing this. Just keep expanding outwards. I'm just going to keep tapping and pushing the product into the rest of the product that we've used so that it penetrates into... Okay, now that we've applied a very light layer of powder everywhere, we can now place more powder on the areas that we want to appear more matte. For example, in the T-zone, because that is where we tend to produce the most oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing that. And there we have it, blank slate foundation that doesn't even look like it's there. Now, I'm sure you can see that I'm looking fairly flat. It doesn't look like there's any dimension to my face, even though all the blemishes have disappeared, and it doesn't look like I'm wearing any makeup at all. So my next task will be to add some dimension back into my face. But remember, we still want it to look like we're not wearing any makeup, without it looking like you're wearing any makeup.